Today we'll be shooting the Heritage Rough Rider revolver. Oh, that's right. I got the edition with the 16-inch barrel and the Betsy Ross grips. I'm Dustin and you're watching Guns of the West. Well, here's a look at the Heritage Rough Rider Honor Betsy Ross edition, and of course that 16-inch barrel. Just a quick look at the features of it. This one just has fixed sights, blade front sight, notched rear sight in the frame there. Although this is available with adjustable sights. Maybe if you want to do small game or hunting or something like that, you'll need to be more precise. This is obviously sort of like a little nod to the Colt Single Action Army, although it's not entirely historically correct. But I'm not going to judge it too much. I think it's enough of its own thing. A couple of things that are like the Single Action Army are the sights, 4 clicks in the hammer. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's authentic. It's got the ejector like the Colt, and on half cock, that's when the cylinder turns. Loading gate, just like the Colt. One thing very much not like the Colt Single Action Army is that this gun has a manual safety, which is basically just a hammer bar. Right now the safety is on, there's a bar, the hammer cannot get to the firing pin. And when I turn this down, a little red dot is visible, and now it can, and the gun will fire. One thing different, another thing different I should say from the Colt, firing pin is not on the hammer, it is a separate piece struck by the hammer. Well, let's go over the loading procedure of it. I'll open up the loading gate and I'll go ahead and flip my safety on, put the hammer on half cock, cylinders free, and I'll take my 22 long rifle cartridges and go ahead and load up. And if I load 1, skip 1, and then load 4, this is called the cowboy load, which I've demonstrated in other videos. And that's because with a single action revolver, it's not necessarily safe to let the hammer rest on a loaded chamber. Now this way, because of the one I skipped, I can let this down. Safety's on, but even if it wasn't, the hammer's resting on an empty. And I don't know if you can see, but it says right on the barrel, keep empty chamber under hammer. So, loaded up with 5. I do also have a Magnum cylinder to load 22 Magnums. We'll do that again later in the video. Well, now that we've got it loaded up, let's go ahead and see how it shoots. All right, well, with our 5 shots loaded up, we've got a steel gong 15 yards ahead. I'll go ahead and fire these 5 shots of 22 long rifle, and we'll see how accurate it is. That's the funny thing about having a manual safety. You have to remember to take it off. All right, let's have a look at the target. Well, that's not too bad. I have one little flyer off to the left. I think we can probably blame me for that. Otherwise, pretty good little group. Just a little bit high, but for single action revolvers, that's not unusual, and it's really not high enough I'm going to worry about it. Why don't we try out the 22 Magnums and 22 long rifle comparatively on a chronograph? All right, first I'll shoot the 5 shots of 22 long rifle over the chronograph. Then I'll show you how to switch cylinders for the Magnum rounds, and we'll chronograph those as well. Now before I show the swapping of the cylinder, I'll go ahead and show you how to unload the Heritage Rough Rider. I flip the gate open just like this, pull the hammer to half cock, and now I'll take my ejector and the rounds just pop right out of the chambers like this, just like on the old Colt Single Action Army, but in 22 caliber. Now, to get the cylinder out, I'm going to press on this little cross pin, and as I'm holding that, I'll pull the front main pin out. Cylinder will just fall right out with the hammer at half cock. Bring over the 22 Magnum cylinder. Slide that into place. I'm going to press and hold this cross pin again as I reinsert the base pin. Now the trick is to get the cylinder lined up. There it goes. And that's it. It's installed. So let's go ahead and load up with 22 Magnum now. So again, I'll load one cartridge, skip a chamber, and then load 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, which brings the cylinder around, so when I pull the hammer all the way back and let it down, it's resting on the empty chamber. Now let's go ahead and chronograph those 5 shots in 22 Magnum. Here are the velocities for the 22 long rifle, and you can see the average was 949.8 feet per second, maximum being 1,000, and the minimum being 871 with a spread of 129. Now, a spread of 129 is not a great performance, but this is just bulk ammunition from Federal just to give us some basic ideas. And here are the velocities for the 22 Magnum, or properly called Winchester Magnum rimfire, average being 1,059 feet per second, maximum is 1105, minimum 1030, with a spread of 75. So faster and a bit better performance, and these were the CCI Magnum rounds. And for those interested, here is a look at how those Magnums performed on the target. At the top, you can see my 5 shots of the 22 long rifle, and down below, the Magnums. And you can see that the Magnums in this particular Heritage Rough Rider are shooting much more point of aim, so that's nice to see. Maybe Magnums are the thing to use. Now, I should mention, these groups are pretty good at 15 yards for a 22 pistol. But I don't know that I'll shoot so good offhand right at first. This front heavy barrel is going to take a little getting used to. But you may have noticed today I'm using the Caldwell stable table along with the Caldwell Pistolero rest, which really lets me see what the gun is actually capable of. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this Heritage Rough Rider, and I like those Betsy Ross grips and the 16-inch barrel. I hope you've enjoyed it. Oh, no! Well, folks, High Fructose Gang is back again, so before we wrap up, let's see if the Heritage Rough Rider can take care of those carbonated bandits. Well, there are 6 bandits and only 1 of me, so I'm taking advantage of the Heritage manual safety, and I'll load all 6 rounds. Better reload. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video look today at the Honor Betsy Ross edition of the Heritage Rough Rider with the 16-inch barrel, as much as I enjoyed making the video for you. Don't forget to look in the description down below to see where you can find things like that Caldwell stable table and other Guns of the West products. And if you look in the description also, you'll see where to find me on social media. Thank you so much for watching.